initiated one. Good morning. So as I was like on this track, I want you all to be back on track. So we talked about these things. IaaS, PaaS, storage is also into different categories. Disks is one disks is one thing which we created for virtual machines. We can add a disk, we can remove a disk, we can expand a disk, we can shrink a disk. So disks is one topic. And then for virtual machines, we add storage. Files, blobs, queues, tables. These are the ones that we have. Files are nothing but a file share. I'll upload the sessions which I have not done yet. I'll finish today. So files are something like a file share, which you can share between virtual machines. Last demo we did last week was file share also. One more demo we did was tables. Tables is a NoSQL database in cloud. We can use tables. You also can use, your application teams can use. It's a readily available database on the cloud. So right now what we have is blobs and queues. So we need to focus on blobs and queues, which was pending. So let me quickly complete a queue followed by a blob. Am I now on track, Ambika? Thank you. So to create a queue, go to storage account first, create a storage account. There are two types of storage accounts, sir. If you can see. Okay, I'm creating one RG for all today's demo. Yeah. So KD storage account STD. STD means standard. Location I'm keeping South India. I'm creating a standard storage account. So there are two types of storage account. Standard storage account and premium storage account. Standard storage account will give us, standard storage account will mostly give us HDDs, hard disks. Premium storage account will give us SSDs. So you decide what you want. Do you want standard storage account with HDD sufficient, or you want a premium storage account with SSDs, high capacity, high cost? So I'm going with standard just to show the demo. And then go for locally redundant storage. I told, right, 3 copies in one data center, 3 copies in another data center. If you go for GRS, 3 copies here, 3 copies there. If you go for LRS, 3 copies only in that data center. We talked about this, right? Having multiple copies of the storage. Correct me if I'm wrong. 3 copies.
Yes, Deepak.
Just trying to be sure. Okay, done, sir. So now I'm going with a standard storage account, not going with the premium also, cheaper one, normal, basic options. Sir. Remaining all tabs I'm not going to touch, directly review and create. Creating a basic storage account, standard storage account, I mean. Created. Just a minute, sir. Yeah. Storage account is getting ready. Once the storage account is ready, in that storage account, you can create blob or file or queue or table, not the disks. Blob or file or queue or table. Disks are separate topics, sir. I'll show once it is ready. It's loading. Just a minute. Yeah, storage account ready. Now, in the storage account, on the left-hand side, we have containers, which is nothing but blobs. File shares, which we created last week. Table, which we created last week. Queue and containers are pending. So table means just create a NoSQL table, sir. Just give the table name and click OK. The table will be created. Once the table is ready, you can open the table. I mean, here you can't open the table, but I told the tool, right, sir? Remember last week, Storage Explorer tool. Oops. Storage Explorer tool, last week discussion, where you can open that Storage Explorer tool, connect to your storage account. It's loading. This is disks. This is storage account. In storage account, just now we created, right? KD standard storage account. If you expand that, under that, you will see blob file queue tables. Under that, go to tables. Under that table, you just now created one table as well. This one. Open that table, sir, and you can insert the data, or you can query the data, export, import, anything you want to do, you can perform. But this is a add any columns you want, SNO, student number, or put some value, 10, student name, put some value, your choice, no SQL. So no SQL discussion already we have done. So now what we have to discuss is queue. So I'm going back to the portal, go to the queue and create a queue. My first queue. So at the closure of the class, I said one thing. Queue is something equal to database mail. And you guys also acknowledged, saying that, hey, there is database mail, and all the emails will be queued. And we have service broker inside SQL Server. When every email that comes from SQL Server side goes into service broker, from service broker, the email will be queued and email will be dispatched. Then the next one, then the next one, then the next one. So we have all the emails in the respective queues in an order. So just like that, I mean, you knowingly or unknowingly, we all use service broker in SQL Server, knowingly or unknowingly. So service broker is not only for DBAs, by the way. Service broker inside SQL Server is also for application teams. Application teams use a lot of messaging inside SQL Server. For example, I have SQL Server 2008 R2 or whichever version in my laptop. In every database, for example, I'm creating one database called DB1. Right click, properties. Please go to options. You should see a property called broker enabled. Broker enabled. Right now, broker is not enabled, false. And if I turn it on, true, for this database, service broker is enabled. That means what, sir? Developers can write code and create messaging queue if they want. So some of you might have heard this one, Java messaging service. JMS is what they call it. Every Java developer, they do programming, as you know. They send messages between applications, this application and some application, a parameter, an output. So messages are very common in the applications. Database mail is also a classic example, sir. Sending an email is nothing but sending a message, yes or no. There is a recipient, there is a receiver, there is a sender, there is a acknowledgement and all that. So everything is available. Same way, JMS. Okay, look at .NET, MSMQ, Microsoft Messaging Queue. So Microsoft .NET also has got MSMQ. Java JMS, Java Messaging System. Python, all these are programming languages, right? The Python messaging queue, sir. Python has got its own messaging queue. Every programming platform will have a messaging queue, because messages are common in every application. Now, what I am saying is, now wait. Let's say, Subha, in your company, you have .NET team and they are using MSMQ. They are storing all the messages. Now, sir, let's not worry about what is that message they are sending, who is the receiver, what message they are putting. Cut the crap, sir. It's not our job, it's their job. But my point is that messages will be there, right? Subha, if it is in your company, in your organization, in your application team is working on messaging, where do you think they'll store all the messages, sir? They will have to pick one messaging server. Definitely one messaging server must be there. There all the messages will be stored and guaranteed delivery and all that. So messaging server is compulsory. What Microsoft or AWS are saying is that, hey, why do you want to manage a messaging server, boss? Keep it in the cloud, no? We will help you. So it's a PaaS product, sir. Queue. You can go to queues and create a queue. And this queue, can you see the URL here? Give it to your application team. Previously, application teams were to store the messages where they were storing in a server. Now they will store it in a in a messaging queue which is available in Azure or AWS. That's all. Nothing great about this feature. It's not our job. Okay, wait. Let's go to Storage Explorer. Let me show you how a message looks like. Okay, go to queues, add a message, expand the queue. This is a queue that I already created. Add a message and put a message. Hi, all wonderful men. Happy Men's Day. Happy Men's Day, guys. So no excitement. Okay, you wished and that's it. Men's Day.
Because all are maximum married people.
So
There is no men's day.
Ambika is here, so please think and speak. So
She don't know as maximum. Only virtually we are connecting.
okay. So sir,
maybe she is proud in her wife's day.
KD should accept the truth, right? That's what I'm saying.
No, whatever it is, whether you are married or unmarried, you are men.
exactly right. That's what I didn't understand the logic of it. True, I agree. So
actually, we don't care about Men's Day.
Yeah.
Today is us only.
Yeah, like men will be men.
Men will be men. Correct, sir. Well,
Really, I would appreciate men because taking care of wife, children, householding things, everything, including the job also.
yeah.
If anyone is suffering in your family, you are the one who will be taking responsibility. So usually at home, there will be struggling between wife and husband. I agree. It will be there in each and every family.
Yeah, now they're smiling, but they're feeling good inside, now they'll again say the build-up will be there, but okay, somebody is praising us. Nice.
Thanks, Amita.
Nice.
You felt happy, Giri? So
yeah, a lot more.
okay, sir. Now again, but by the way, looking at this, the message that you are typing in the messaging queue, do you want it to be encrypted? Or you don't want? UTF-8 is just the plain text. So do you want it to be encrypted, base 64 encryption, or you would just want to be a UTF-8, keep it plain? Your choice. So base 64 will encrypt it. Do you want to set an expiry or not? Expiry means maximum days, and that too, you can't give more than 7 days. Any message cannot persist more than 7 days. And then the visibility timeout is, after this XYZ amount of time, you disable the visibility, meaning people can't see. So these are some options. And again, these options you will not see. See, same demo, if I show you, I'll insert this message now. Insert it. Same demo, if you go and see in the Azure portal, right? If I open the messaging queue, okay, look at this one. This is a message I inserted from there, right? If you insert a message from here, you will not see all that extra options. So definitely Storage Explorer is the best tool. You should have it installed on your computer. Please install Storage Explorer. Whenever you are working on storage, we work on Storage Explorer.
Any example here in real time? No.
For messaging, right? Messaging, we really don't care. We really don't care. We don't use it at all. So this is not for us at all. Purely for application teams. Example, only one example I can give is application teams using it for message delivery between application modules. One application to another application modules, they use it. Normally they use on-prem servers for messaging. Now they can use Azure machines. So, but nobody will ask us interview questions, but just to give you a small interview question that comes up for Azure admins normally is, what is the size of the message, max size of the message? 64 KB.
I mean, instead of DB mail, they can use this.
This is not at all. This has nothing to link with DB mail. DB mail is completely different. I was telling as an example that even in SQL Server, under MSDB database, right? One second. Under MSDB database, if you go to properties, go to options, under MSDB database, by default, broker will be true. I did not enable it because database mail is configured in MSDB. So I'm comparing this messaging system with our database mail. I'm comparing just for a comparison. Okay, so our database mail cannot use messaging queue, to say Azure queue for sending mails. No. like Java has JMS. I was giving example, like Microsoft.NET has got MSMQ, like Python has Python messaging queue. Azure has got queues. If any application team wants to use, they can use. Your messages will be stored in the cloud. That's all. Now, one problem is there also there, Ambika. When you are sending a message, right, on-prem will be faster because you have the server next to you. FADAC, you can send it and send it off. But if your connectivity to your cloud is fast, see, it depends on cloud connectivity also, right? If bandwidth is slow, your message must go there, store and come back. So application might behave slowly. So this headache application team has to take care. So under storage, this option is there. So we are talking. Let's not waste time. Can we move on? That's all. Nothing much. Nothing much. Anything you want me to say? By the way, okay, 1 minute, sir. Adding a message is called as enqueuing, meaning you're adding a queue into message into a queue. Dequeuing is nothing but taking off a message, and then requeuing is like putting it back again. So there are some terminology. And moving a message, you can move a message from one queue to another if possible, if you want to. These options are not there in portals, they're only in Storage Explorer they have given. You can clear the complete queue at one shot if you want, or you can refresh to see the new messages. So it's a nice tool, sir. Storage Explorer is a wonderful tool. Any questions? Okay, done. So that's all about queue. Now, we have half an hour. If you are completely focused, we'll do it now. If not, because Blob, I need a full-fledged mind of yours. If you're good, we'll continue now. If not, I'm good to do it tomorrow, sir. But didn't want to hold off the class. That's why I joined. So if you're okay, we'll do it tomorrow with a fresh mind as we start, or we can do it now also. I'm good with both. Choice is yours.
Tomorrow we can do it because
choice is all yours. I'm not declining anything. Choice
better we can do it tomorrow. Fresh mind.
No, others also. Your choice.
Then
shall we do one thing? Blob will do tomorrow, because Blob is extremely important for DBA, because we are, hey, as a DBA, sir, we use disks, of course. We use disks. File, queue, table. A file also sometimes, yes, for storing a file share for media. So queue and table are like rubbish. Table you might use if you have knowledge on NoSQL databases. But better than table, now we have got Cosmos DB. That's an excellent product. And Microsoft themselves are recommending people to go to Cosmos DB, which we will discuss in PAS when we start. So these three are important for us. So file we have already done, disks we have already done. So anyways, to cover the next 20-30 minutes, what I was thinking is Blob will do tomorrow then. Disks shall I cover something extra, which I have not, it's not there in the curriculum. I'm going out and speaking. Are you okay with this? Okay, done. Sir, let me take you to, I was creating the website also. Give me some time, I'll get it done. Yeah. So, this is out of the scope, okay? Out of the scope of our discussion. Normal Azure admin topic. So I have a virtual machine. Listen carefully. Important points. Important for Azure admins. As a DBA, it's good for you as well. Oh, we already have that RG, right? Yeah, I have it. Okay, sir. Now look at this. So I'm creating a virtual machine. You already saw twice I have shown you, which is that if I'm creating a KD-test VM, for example, South India and all that, sir, Windows, I'll pick a little older version if you're okay. Can I pick this? What is that, sir? Windows 2012 R2 with SQL Server 2012. I'm picking that old one. I picked.
Is there any specific reason to pick the old?
I'm picking for a reason. I'll show you now. Just a minute. Done. So I gave password. I think we are good. Please watch. Going a little outside and speaking. So please watch. Go to disks topic. Storage. HDD, if you want to select HDD or SSD, your choice. Now, so under advanced, there's an option called manage disk, and there's an option called unmanaged disk. Normally, sir, normally, This topic is called as disks normally. So you talk to any person, anyone in the cloud space, anybody who knows Azure, just go and interact with them and tell that, hey, do you know disks? So, sir, listen, important, sir. Any person who has Azure knowledge, just go and say, hey, do you know disks? Okay, the first and immediate answer you will get is, yes, of course, I know disks. Disks are nothing but hard disks created in Azure. Look at this one, sir. These are the disks that I have. I mean, a long list, too much. But I can put KD name here, and I can see only the disks that I created. Got it? For my virtual machines, I created these disks. So, and all the disks are 127 GB, 512 GB like that. Can I ask you all a question? My disks that I have created, when I am creating virtual machine, right, sir? Along with that, the disk got created. So I did not do any special hard work to create a disk. If, for example, Prabla is asking me to create one disk, sir, for him. So I'll create a new disk. Listen carefully, sir. I don't have a virtual machine, Prabla. Prabla, virtual machine will come later. You came to me and said that, hey, KD, can you create one disk for me? I need a disk of 1 terabyte. Okay, sure, Prabla. So KD, source group, sir. So KD-Prabla disk. Got it? So everyone, I am creating a disk without virtual machine. Please understand. I am creating a disk without virtual machine. Virtual machine will come later. Okay, disk created. How much size you said? 1 terabyte. Do you want SSD? Okay, SSD. I'm creating what you asked, Prabla. Shall I proceed, sir? A disk without virtual machine, please remember. So yes, you can create disks without virtual machines. Now, 1 minute, sir. 1 minute. So I already told you one important fundamental concept of storage. I already told this fundamental concept of storage. Anything you create in cloud, right, sir? Listen carefully. Anything you create in cloud, hard disk. So max options are what? Disk, blob, file, queue, table. These are the 5 options you have. Any of these 5, if you create, remember, for all these 5, sir, first storage account must be created. Without storage account, none of this is possible. So our main skeleton always is the storage account. Inside storage account, you create disks if you want, files if you want, blobs if you want, tables if you want, queues if you want. But one question you guys have to ask me, KD, hold on, okay, understood. But when we are creating a disk, right, why the hell there is no option about storage account? There is no, sir, do you see any option anywhere about storage account, a name called storage, and in your settings anywhere? No, no. So technically, first storage account must be created, then the disk must be created. That's not happening because this concept is called as managed disk. Managed disk. As the name says, managed disk. That means what? Somebody is managing for you. That somebody is nothing but Microsoft, sir. So internally, Microsoft will create a
Storage for us.
storage account, and then inside the storage account, they will create a disk. So for you and for me, that headache is gone. That is why this concept is called as a managed disk.
So this will be pointing to our storage account directly.
This will be, no, this will not be pointing to storage account. Microsoft in the background will create one storage account. And in that storage account, they will create a disk and give you. 1 minute, sir. I can prove it. I can prove it. Ambika, you asked me why I chose older version. Now watch. So I am saying that I don't want a storage account. I am saying that I don't want a managed disk. That means our next option is what's a unmanaged disk. So there are 2 concepts here, remember. One is called as managed disk, which Microsoft completely manages, right? And another one is called as unmanaged disk, which we manage. That means, sir, if you want an unmanaged disk, listen, if you want an unmanaged disk, you know what you're supposed to do first? Go and create a storage account.
Storage account.
You create the storage account yourself. So which I already have, right, sir, here. Can you see? In that storage account, sir, I selected HDD, and this is a standard, right? Hey, by the way, There are two types of storage accounts, standard and premium. Premium supports SSD, standard supports HDD. So I chose HDD. If I choose SSD here, I need to create one premium storage account. So I don't have any premium. That's why it's recommending that, hey, KD, shall I create with this name? Okay, create if you want. So anyway, sir, I'm going for standard only. In standard, what happens, sir? Now it shows automatically one storage account that I have, right? It already picked up. Perfect. So now I'll take a small screenshot of this because I want you all to read this in few minutes from now. A screenshot of this one, sir. Yeah, it's a business plan of Microsoft and I want you to read it. Keep it like that. Done. So shall I create this now? So you are creating a virtual machine with what options? So what is this option called as? Unmanaged disk. And on the contrary, on the other side, I am creating a, what's a managed disk. Managed disk is controlled by Microsoft, unmanaged is controlled by you. Let me create both, sir. Let me create both and show you if you're okay. Yeah. So I'm creating one managed disk, which I created 1 terabyte in size for Prabala. This is KD's own VM I'm creating for myself, unmanaged. I'm creating the, wait, sir, one more thing. Go to networking, other things, please. Advanced. What else? Delete IP. Go to management, turn off automatic updates. Go to monitoring, disable the monitoring. There are some SQL Server settings. So because it is SQL Server machine, I'm enabling SQL authentication, public connectivity, review and create. This is VM with SQL Server. Okay, sir. So then click on create. So this is a virtual machine that we are creating. So this is a managed disk that we are creating. This is an unmanaged disk that we are creating. So both are different, sir. Now, KD, what is the difference between both? In unmanaged, you have to monitor space, how much. Let me add more space. And so, by the way, some mathematics for all of you. What is the max size of a storage account? One storage account, max size is how much?
5 petabytes.
5 petabytes. We discussed last weekend, 5 PB. So now, let's say Mahesh created one unmanaged disks, not even disks, and he started increasing them. So he kept on increasing them and managing them and managing them and increasing them. But the problem is, Mahesh, you have to keep your 5 petabyte limit in mind. Whenever extra disks you are adding, you have to continuously check how much I consume, how much is spending, how much I consume, how much is spending. So, you need to be very, very cautious because all manually done by you, Mahesh. Whereas Srinivas Prabala, who asked me to create a managed disk, he doesn't need to care. Because Microsoft is managing everything for you, sir. So you want Microsoft management or you want your own management? If you want your own management, you have to pay a little less cost. If you want Microsoft to manage disks are costly. So when creating virtual machines, we have two options, sir. Managed disk and unmanaged disk.
When to use managed and when to use unmanaged,
Okay,
except this.
Before we go there, couple of things I just want to share. Managed disks in Azure. So when to use, we'll talk in the last, sir. So first of all, let's go and quickly look at managed disk, what they are, benefits of managed disk. So first and foremost benefit of managed disk over unmanaged disk is in managed disks, they are designed for how much? 99.999% availability. Managed disks, I'm saying. 1 minute, sir. Uptime.ease. You know this website, right? Uptime.ease. 99.99939, sir. So per daily basis or per entire year, 5 minutes of downtime only, which is superb. Right? 1 minute, sir. Not finished. The fun is about to start. Sir, if you go for LRS option, Microsoft is giving what assurance? 11 nines durability. And if you go for ZRS option, they are giving 12 nines assurance. So obviously you have to go for managed disk rather than unmanaged disk, right? Okay, cost is little extra, but it's okay. But availability percentage, one of the reasons, Subha, we have to go for is managed disk is because of availability percent, sir. Second thing, sir, you can create up to 50,000 VM disks, 50,000 in one subscription. 50,000 disks you can create. So one disk max size is how much? You saw that last time. One disk max size is how much? One virtual machine disk when you create. Hey, I showed it. 32 TB. Did I not show?
No, I think so. You didn't show that one. 32 GB.
Okay, sir. 1 minute then. Let me show again. So let's go and create one virtual machine. Create quickly once. So this VM is still getting created. Which one? Unmanaged one. I'm going to create a managed disk now. Okay, so KD what is this? I'll call it as managed disk, managed VM, managed disk VM. Done. So come down. So nothing to do. Just select Windows latest operating system, latest one. Put username and password. Everything is same. Nothing fancy. One minute, please. Done, sir. Password provided. And then go to disks. Now watch. So unmanaged, I already created. If you don't select, sir, what is this happening now? Is it allowing you to untick? Because Windows 2016, the latest operating systems, right? Microsoft is enforcing people to use only
Managed disk.
managed disks. They're not allowing them to use unmanaged disks. So there's an enforcement. There's no option. So Ambika, that is why I was speaking older versions. Latest version, if you pick, it is forceful managed disk. Older versions, if you pick, you get unmanaged disk option also. Linux operating systems that we have, Linux, they also support both managed and unmanaged. Now, so 1 minute, sir. Finally. So what is a disk? If you create a new disk, if you create an extra disk in virtual machine, extra disk, click on change size. What is the highest you have? 32 TB. So this is what I was. So 32 TB is the max size you can go by. Like this, 50,000 disks you can create, sir. In where? Managed. If you are managed, you're using managed disk option, 50,000 VM disks you can create per subscription. Per subscription. In another subscription, oh, sorry, sir. Per subscription, per region. In another region, another 50,000 you can create. In another region, another 50,000 you can create. So you can do that. So again, managed is painful. Unmanaged is painful. So managed is like you're giving headache to Microsoft, and of course you're paying some extra bucks. So okay, managed and unmanaged concept. So if somebody asks you, where are you keeping your SQL Server databases in the which type of disks? Please say managed, because I mean, if you ask me, our environment is completely managed disks only. Little long ago, 5 years back or 4 or 5 years back, we had some databases which we kept in unmanaged. But now everything is managed. And by the way, sir, Ambika, this VM is ready. Your old VM. Any time you can go to disks and upgrade your unmanaged disks to managed disks. Got it, sir? Any time you can do. If you do it now, your billing changes, of course, but you can upgrade unmanaged disk to managed disk anytime. But so once you are in managed disk, you can't go back to unmanaged. That is not possible. It's a one-way ticket to hell. So I'm sorry, one-way ticket to managed disks. So you can't come back to unmanaged disks. That's it.
But when we are in unmanaged disks, we can go back to managed disk.
When you are in unmanaged, you can upgrade to managed, correct. But from once you are in managed, you cannot go back to unmanaged. That's also. So there are two types of disks. Remember, when you're creating disks, especially, there are two types of disks: managed and unmanaged. Managed is the default option, so you will never know that difference at all. Only when you're creating virtual machines, when you go to, what is that? Advanced option under disks, advanced option, there you will see. Am I right? If you go to advanced option, there you will see an option to untick. If you untick, it becomes an unmanaged. Some VMs don't even support. They will keep it managed only. They don't keep it unmanaged. Okay. Now, again, anytime you can upgrade from unmanaged to managed, remember, not a vice versa. Okay, that point is also done. One last thing I wanted to convey was, yeah, that's it. But yeah, we were reading that document, right? So now, first reason why you should go for managed disks.
Less downtime and everything.
Availability.
Availability. 11 nines, 12 nines availability. Default availability is 99.999%. Of course, it is designed, but with LRS and ZRS together, I mean, LRS and ZRS, LRS will give 11 nines and ZRS will give you 12 nines. Compulsory answer if somebody asks you in an interview, sir. Mostly they will not ask, but I'm just telling you. Next one, if you use managed disk, you can create up to 50,000 VM disks. 50,000 VM disks. Okay, so this answer was 20,000. This answer was 20,000 a few years back. The latest, they upgraded it to 50,000. Okay, moving on. So next and foremost thing, I want to show you one picture. I'll talk about it, but just wait, sir. Integration with availability set. And I'm sure everybody in the class knows what is an availability set. Availability set is nothing but, what is it?
Resilience to the self VMs.
Perfect, sir. So fault, oops. If you keep your VMs in Azure data center, one machine will be created in a separate rack. Another machine will be created in a separate rack, and the next machine will be created in a separate rack. So they are isolated, and it improves their resilience, and there is no chance of failure will reduce. All of them together will not crash. Got it, sir? If you are using manage this concept, listen carefully, sir. If you are using manage this concept, Microsoft guarantees that for every server in a separate fault domain has a separate storage rack also. For a server in separate server rack, it will get a separate storage rack. Another server in another server rack, here, sir, can you see? It will also get a separate hard disk rack. Another server in another rack, sir, it will also get a separate hard disk in separate rack. Now, KD, what if you're using unmanaged disk? So look at this. If I'm using unmanaged disk, my first, on the right hand side, sir, my first virtual machine. Yeah, look at this one. So my first virtual machine, second virtual machine, and third virtual machine coincidentally can sit in the same rack. So if something happens to the storage, I lose all my 3 VMs. Sir. Whereas in this scenario, separate racks are there, right? So by chance, okay, by chance, God forbid something happens also. Imagine this storage account is crashed, sir. Only this VM will be affected. Others are safe. So that is another biggest advantage of managed disk. We should recommend, sir, as a DBA, you always recommend managed disk, please. Gone are the days of unmanaged disk. Don't recommend unmanaged disk to anyone. Nowadays, especially. And even if you recommend or not, sir, by default option is managed disk. That is why normally, sir, in trainings, people are not talking about it. But just wanted to let you know that this concept is also there called unmanaged disk. Where you create the storage account, you put the rack, you create the storage account, you create a, you put your files there, disks there. So manually controlled. Any questions? So integration with availability set, integration with availability zone. So that means if I'm using availability zone option, my one VM will be present in one data center, one building. Another VM will be in another building, another VM in another building, right? My storage also will be in one building, one copy, another copy in another building, another copy in another building, 3 locations. So what is the advantage? If building crashes, my storage is also safe, my VM is also safe. So the answers you should tell is, so Subha, to answer to in one line, sir. If somebody, when to use what we will talk, but why should I use managed disks? Availability percent, availability. 50,000 VM disks are possible in a subscription in a region. It's powerful integration with availability set. and its powerful integration with availability zone. These are the 4 reasons why you should say managed disk. So now, when do we recommend managed disk? Always we recommend managed disk only. Unmanaged disk is you recommend when the cost is too high. You have to compare the cost of managed disk and unmanaged disk. The cost difference is extremely high and your customer is okay about failures and all that. It's okay, sir. Non-prod especially. You can recommend unmanaged in that case. But we don't. That's all. At least, thank God, we utilize this opportunity with that unmanaged disk and manage this concept. So everyone, one last time, sir. Okay, I will let's end the class now. But before we end, I want you all also to quickly create one managed disk VM and one unmanaged disk VM, and then we will exit from the class. We have got 8 minutes from now. This 5 minutes is more than enough to create this. 2 VMs, please. One managed and one unmanaged, and a screenshot in the WhatsApp group. That's all.
Deepak, I have a question. By default, when we create virtual machine,
Little louder, Deepika. Can't hear.
by default, when we create virtual machine, what type of disk we are selecting?
Managed only.
Okay.
So everyone, again, I'm showing you, please, if you want to do it with me in parallel and finish this small demo, sir, which is not there in our actual curriculum, but just go ahead. Yeah, go to virtual machines.
Really one question. How we can find the disk is managed or unmanaged in that?
No, so if you go to disks option, right, whatever you have under disks are all managed only. Okay. Now, if your question is, KD, okay, fine, that understood. How do I know which are my unmanaged disk is your question, right?
Yes.
Okay. First, go to virtual machine, sir. Go to virtual machine. KD virtual machines are these all. And you know, right, these all are my previously created virtual machines. And these all are managed only. The last one that I created just now is unmanaged. But KD, how do I know, man? You know it, you created, you know it. How do I know it? Okay, go to that virtual machine, go to disks, please. And in disks, right, it will clearly give you an option that migrate to managed. So you know that this is unmanaged undoubtedly. Okay, that is one option. That is also not a foolproof option. Go to disk, click on that disk. What is it saying? Hence proved, sir. And one more thing. What is it additionally saying? It is saying that, hey boss, this unmanaged disk is stored in the storage account. 1 second, Giri. Let's go to the storage account, sir. Let's see inside the storage account how it looks. Go inside the storage account. Okay. And inside that, go to containers, Giri. Under containers, you see VHD files, virtual hard disks. Click on VHD file. Now you see 2 disks. One disk is 127 GB, which is my C drive. And there's one more disk, which is 1 TB, which is my D drive or D drive or E drive or whatever. So now you know they are unmanaged. Absolutely. So technically unmanaged disk is nothing but what, sir? It's a unmanaged disk is nothing but what? Unmanaged blob. That is why tomorrow morning we'll talk what is a blob, sir. Unmanaged disk is nothing but a blob. What is blob? Will fresh start tomorrow. Okay, sorry for the disconnect in the beginning of the session. No worries, we are back on track. I will upload everything, so I'll keep the website ready. But can you please finish this demo quickly? Fast. One unmanaged.
One more doubt. Let's say while creating the VMs, if we create it, and if I want to change the configuration, so is it not allowed? Or let's say I created the VM without load balancer or NSG, but later I want to add it.
NSG you can't. NSG you can't add, sir. That is not allowed after VM creation. You can add, but there's a process for it. So many of the configurations you can change, but some configurations you can't change. VM configurations. Many of them we can change, but some we can't change.
Okay.
Was that not the question?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
So any specific configuration you're asking about, whether we can change or not, NSG, right?
Yes.
Energy will discuss in next networking discussion we have. The partition type that Azure supports for Gen 1 operating system disks is the MBR, correct? Although Gen 1 OS disks only support MBR, the data disk support GPT, correct? While you allocate up to 4 TB of disk, the MBR partition type can only use up to 2 TB disk space for the operating. So Mahesh, I'm so sorry, I didn't get you, sir. You're muted. So please always 200% when partitioning, when creating a new disk, right? GPT is recommended because MBR cannot cross 2 TB. So MBR is a very old style of partitioning. We should always be using GPT style of partitioning, which can create bigger databases bigger disks more than 2 TB in size.
How about Gen 1? We didn't came across, right?
How?
Gen 1, Gen 2.
It is there. We did not select that set. So first of all, sir, anybody creating, you want to share your screen, quickly share your screen, fatafat will finish and you can exit the class. But one VM, one unmanaged, one managed. So if anybody wants to share your screen once, I will show you how to do. Others can also see that. Rather than doing in my PC, let's do in your PCs. And meanwhile, I'll stop the recording as the class is done. This is a lab.